listening to BSI, the podcast with Benny Stillhover, Dowsy and Arco Para. Enjoy!
Since there's only two.
Hey, can you hear
today,
me?
Oh, God. We're right in the middle of quick hitters.
Bought a house in San Diego my last year and then ended up only living in it for about 4 months and then went to Atlanta, man. So, but you know what they say, never buy a house. You'll get traded or leave right after, dude. So,
welcome back to BSI, the podcast. We're on episode 3 now. We've got some news on this one, Ike.
We've got a lot of news. First off, I think I want to just, or share this information of, we had a great episode last week with Sebastian Lletget. I thought it was just kind of what we've always done. And then, unfortunately, it was taken, at times out of context and used for, tabloids and gossipy, where, we were all a part of it, right? We were all being entertaining and trying to provide insight, to our world and as athletes. And, that's not what we want to do, is become, the TMZ of soccer by any means. I just think that we want to have fun and provide insight. So, I just want to be respectful of all of our guests moving forward and to keep having fun with this thing. So unfortunately, Sebastian had to go through some things. But, as athletes, we never want to, put another fellow athlete in a predicament like that. So to that point, let's have a good show and let's get to the next piece of news.
Yeah, I mean, I echo all those sentiments. We love our boy Seb, and hopefully he doesn't get any more shit than he already has, unfortunately. But moving on, you so eloquently brought up the fact that I was quote unquote trialing with teams. That wasn't exactly true.
Okay, well, you were there, whether you were trialing or not. Debatable.
The point is that I have a big announcement, and I'll share it with all my podcast family first. And that is that I am going to retire from professional soccer. I've written a little thing here, and bear with me here. Hopefully there won't be any tears shed. But after 15 years, 9 in MLS, I'm announcing my retirement from professional soccer. It has been an incredible journey and one I leave with no regrets. Making it in professional sports is about preparation, talent, and most importantly, opportunity. I was lucky enough to have some talent, but more importantly, I was prepared because of the countless sacrifices my parents made as I was growing up. I was also very fortunate with the opportunity that a late great coach gave me. Ziggy Schmidt became the U20 coach in 2004 and gave some no-name kid playing at UCLA a huge opportunity to play in the World Cup, and Mark Messi of all players. That U20 World Cup led me to realizing my ultimate dream and becoming a professional soccer player. I played 2 years in Hamburg, 1 year in Derby, and made history there, and 3 years in AGF in Denmark. During my time in Europe, I was given another once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play for the national team by Bob Bradley. He made me a part of a Gold Cup championship team, a Confederation Cup finalist team, and a group-winning World Cup team, all memories that will last a lifetime. I returned to the U.S. in 2011 to play in MLS with the New England Revolution. After having a bad 2012 season, I wasn't sure what the future held for me. Along came yet another coach who believed in me and gave me a chance to become the best version of myself. Sporting Kansas City and Peter Remise brought me to a club where I now call home. I grew as a player and a person, became a husband and a father, and ultimately had the best 5 years of my life on and off the field. In 2018, I was traded to LAFC and had an amazing experience with an expansion team. It was very gratifying to be involved in the roots of that club, something I'm proud to say that I was a part of. Finally, in 2019, I signed for the Colorado Rapids, and in the summer got traded back to my home club, SKC, to finish my career. I would be remiss to not add a massive thank you to all the fans I've had along the way, all the fans that loved me and all the fans that hated me. You guys played an integral part on all the emotions I felt on this wonderful journey. Don't you ever change. Lastly, the Cauldron, the South Stand, and everyone in between, you guys cheered me on for 6 seasons in the Blue Hell, and I appreciated every single minute of it. I hope to one day soon be leading the I Believe chant with you all. I now look forward to my next career. I love this sport and will always be around it. I hope I can give the sport back what it gave me and also find opportunities for others as my coaches did for me throughout my playing career. I conclude by saying that I hope people remember me as a player that left all my emotions on the field. I always played with everything I had and wanted to win every game above all else. I'll see you all very soon. Eternally grateful, Benny. So
Like that, man.
What do you think, Ike?
Damn, bro. I'm sad. I'm sad for you.
You jealous yet?
No, I'm not jealous. Maybe a little part of me. But, man, it's wild, bro. From we both came into KC together. I've had you as a roommate my entire time in KC. Actually, last year I couldn't take you
until
anymore.
you kicked me out though.
I couldn't take you anymore that last year, so I had to get it.
What do you mean take me, dude? I'm like the best roommate. I don't even do anything.
No. Don't be like this. But it's crazy, right? We came in together. We became best friends together. You thought I sucked.
Dude,
I thought you were
terrible. I was so sad when they bought. I'm like, dude, this team's going on the up and up.
We've already discussed this before. I thought you were overrated and you had an underwhelming career, but
I was overrated.
We came in together, right? And we ended up being best friends, still best friends. And so, it's seeing your career the way it's gone out. I'm happy for you. I hope you have nothing but success in your next career. Maybe you just become a full-time podcaster. We could just keep rocking with this thing.
Yeah, we're really crushing it with all the cash coming in. So I'm going to have to start digging into my savings. And with this coronavirus, my funds are melting in the stock market.
Are you scared of your next career, or are you excited?
No, I'm excited, dude. One of the most genuine comments I can make is how much I love the sport. And I can't see myself being in anything other than somewhere around this sport with my next career. I really hope that I figure out what that is sooner rather than later. But I'm excited for what the future holds. I'll be around the sport, MLS, hopefully, and hopefully even Kansas City. But it's exciting to start planning, I guess, for what's next. It's crazy because as players, we have a one-track mind, and it's like, okay, we got to win this weekend. We got to do well in the regular season. Got to get to the playoffs. I got to get my next contract. I got to win a championship, and then everything changes at snap of your fingers. And so I'm excited for it. It's always going to be bittersweet because trust me, in 2 weeks from now, or 2 months from now, or a year from now, whatever, I'll be missing like you said, rooming together during preseason of all times, or the banter in the locker room, or, raising a trophy or scoring a goal or whatever it is. But don't worry, I'll be playing some men's league. And so
don't do it, dude. Retire while you're ahead. Just quit while you're ahead. Just go play pickup basketball, stay outside the lane, shoot threes, play no defense.
Shoot threes, dude? I'd be building a house with all my bricks.
Whatever, man. Just so everyone knows, Sal is on a road trip as we record this. So he'll be in and out of this podcast. He's actually going to be doing what he always does, which is not much anyways. So with that being said,
he'll probably provide some static in the background and not terrible takes as usual.
Yeah, but standard. I propose that we lowercase, his letter. But that's for another discussion. So let's get to it.
But yeah, no more talking about this. Let's get to who we brought on. Today we got Greg Garza. We're going to ask him some stories about his time in Mexico, obviously Atlanta, Cincinnati, and some of the funny things that have been going on over there maybe as well. All right, let's bring him on then. Welcome, Greg Garza, to the podcast, bro. We are so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me, man.
We're gonna get started quickly here because I already took too much time off during the introduction talking about my retirement. I don't think anybody cares about that. We want to hear about what Greg has to say, and so we'll get. And by the way, we mentioned in the introduction, one of our legs from the tripod is not here right now, Greg, Sal, because he's playing like some USL game with Landon Donovan as a coach or something.
Don't disrespect. You're being disrespectful.
He's loyal.
I respect him, Sal, more now than when he was selling houses. And
oh my God. He doesn't need any house.
He was doing selling houses
got all
last
of Little
year.
Italy right behind him.
This is true.
Yeah. So anyways, welcome to BI the podcast.
Thanks, man.
There's no S in there today, so we'll see. Maybe Sal will show up at some point. But anyways, let's get right into the quick hitters. I only got 2 for you today, so we don't waste any more time. Right. Quick one right here. Best teammate you've had. Parky, Michael Parkhurst, as we know him, Parky. Mm-hmm. Joseph Martinez, or Miguel Almiron.
I'm gonna go Parky with that one. Just because I'm close with all those guys. Probably the least person, Miguel, but really close with Joseph too. But I'm going to go with Parky because in that locker room, those 2 years, and the last year was myself, Parky, D, Darlington, and Guzan, and that was the best corner of banter all season. So I'm gonna go.
Yeah, Guzan's got some good stuff. Darlington has some. I didn't know that.
Darlington's low key. Low key. Man.
I know.
Really?
I've heard about Darlington.
Huh?
I can't wait to see him in the future.
Low key, man.
We're trying to get D to come on the podcast, so we'll maybe you can throw him a line for us.
He's got 3 kids he's got to deal with at home too, man. So
yeah, I mean, I got 3 kids too. Like I said, I'm doing coaching courses. I'm showing up at midnight and still doing the podcast.
There you go, man.
Everything for the podcast. I feel like I was going to ask you a little follow up with that, but
I think probably best captain I've ever had too in my professional career. I think probably the most genuine person I've probably ever been around by far.
I love that. And what I was going to ask you, now I remembered, was the little video that we brought up actually that went viral with you patting his stomach and seeing if he's already fat after 3 months of retirement. And now I'm going into retirement. So I'm a little worried because I've had a stomach while playing.
Exactly. Like, I don't understand how you had the dad bod before it became a thing, Benny. Like, and you didn't care. I respect it.
It's called being a trend setter.
Body shaming, it's bad. It's not, it's getting out of hand. And you were ahead of the curve.
I had no idea that they were filming me, and I probably never would have done that to him if they were filming us.
No, I loved it, but he loved it too. Great. You could tell he was loving it. All right, I'm gonna give you, since there's only 2.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh God, we're right in the middle of quick hitters, and this guy shows up and brings in like the bus. Like, you can hear the bus rotate. What are you doing, dude?
Sorry, I just arrived from Seattle.
Nah, you're good, dude. We've just started on quick hitters. We almost took the S out of the podcast.
You on Bluetooth in your car right now, or what, bud?
Yeah, just got on the team bus. We got our game against Tacoma. We're going to play a closed door scrimmage game because of the coronavirus.
Oh, no.
No way.
That's devastating. All right, well, we already got 1 out of the way, and we only got 2 today. So the second one's a little bit of a stinger.
All right.
We'll see what he can come up with. How many points below Atlanta will Cincinnati finish this year?
Oh, my gosh. Below Atlanta.
Yeah. Are you going to tell me they're going to finish above Atlanta, or are we going to be realistic?
We're going to be realistic. Man, what was the last year's points?
Must have been like 40.
Okay, hopefully we can half that.
No, it wasn't 40. I don't think it was actually 40. Do you know how many points Cincinnati got last year?
I think it probably was.
Atlanta must have had what, about close to 60, but
and we had maybe 24.
Did you only have 24 last year?
I think we might have only had 24.
Guys,
maybe 25.
The internet's a real thing. I will look for us.
Yeah.
Shouldn't Nino be doing that? Isn't that his job?
No, we're just amateurs, man. We're just having fun on the pod. I'll say this: we've been getting a lot of love, and we appreciate that. But then we've been getting a lot of people who have just been like mad at us for our sound quality. It's like, come on, guys, this isn't our actual job. We're just trying to have fun, be entertaining, give some insight. But
hey, and
yeah.
It can't be any worse than your coaches when we went and did Landon, and he was like walking around a metro and doing all kinds of stuff.
I don't really care how many points
like a bus depot.
We end up below them, as long as we sneak into that 7th place by the end of the season, man. That's fine with
me. They had 58. Right. You guys had 24.
There you go. Called it.
So 34 points.
Yeah.
So 17 points is your estimate. I don't think that's a bad guess. I think if you get 17 points less than them, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, you could be close.
All right. Well, let's move along, and I'll bring up my first question, and it kind of is more, I don't know if it's a question, but first time we met, Greg, you were trialing, if I remember correctly, for Tijuana. We were just talking about, we were in Oxnard, where the Dallas Cowboys actually do their preseason up by Santa Barbara, and I came and trained with you guys, and man, I thought that was an interesting experience, like for me, but I want to know, during that time you're trialing for them, and so how was that for you?
I think that was probably my last trial before, if I didn't make that team, I probably was going to retire. I was 20 years old? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, before that, I'd gone to Finland, Norway, Sweden, Germany. I was all over the place after Portugal, man. So that was probably my last go at it to really see if I was going to continue my career.
Dude, and that's. I mean, I know I don't want to bring it back to like what my announcement or anything, but opportunity is everything.
Crazy. Everything happens for a reason. Yep.
You know what's crazy is it's been the theme of a lot of our guests. Like there was a point in time when they were just about to be like, screw it, you know. And I think that's
Sebastian said the same thing.
Right?
One of
the
after he was at what? It was at West Ham, right? So,
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And he said he was close to retiring, and he said when he came back to the Galaxy, it was, he had a kind of a tough go at it at first, and he didn't know if he didn't make it, he was going to be probably calling it quits.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Greg, with your Tijuana experience, hey, how was that? And did you live in San Diego, or did you live across the border?
No, I lived across the border the first 4 years, and then bought a house in San Diego my last year, and then ended up only living in it for about 4 months, and then went to Atlanta, man. So, but you know what they say, never buy a house, you'll get traded, or leave right after, dude. So
I've heard a couple of stories recently of guys like that.
But yeah, the experience was amazing, dude. I mean, I actually enjoyed living in Tijuana, dude. I felt, for one thing, I mean, you're idolized there. It's a different kind of like religion there of what soccer really means to those people. And so, I mean, you kind of somewhat feel as you're like protected by everything, I mean, I can't tell you numerous of times I even got pulled over because my windows were too dark, or if I was speeding, and you'd have police officers apologize to you and tell you to go home. Like they'd be like, apologize and tell you good luck in your next game or something, like just little details like that, to where you're just like, wow, you feel like you're
like a god out there.
Exactly. And I even more so when I got traded to Atlas in Guadalajara, which was a bigger club. I mean, everywhere you went, you're recognized. So that was also a really cool experience of being there. But I mean, I also was a part of some special things. And right when I got to Tijuana, they were fighting for relegation. So I mean, some pretty crazy stories there, man, as well. This is one I tell a lot of people. It's actually pretty insane. We had I'm a kid. I was living in Portugal for about 4.5 years. Became a pro there. So, I mean, after going all these places, thinking I was going to stay in Europe on trial, think I was going to stay in Europe, end up in another country, Mexico. The first thing I tell my dad, I'm going to Mexico. He's like, no, this is where I'm from. You're not going there. It's too dangerous. I'm like, look, this is the only job I'm going to get right now, so I'm going to take it. But man,
So then you decided to literally go to the most dangerous city in the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But the crazy thing is, dude, we have our first like meeting with the owner about fighting for relegation that season when I come in. And man, all I remember is just like these 4 Yukons pulling up. We're having dinner, we're having lunch, or these 4 Yukons with like machine guns like out the windows, like just, it's like, holy crap, what is going on now? And the owner gets out, and the owner is just this bigger guy, huge beard. I mean, just terrifying. And like he gets out, and this guy has a pet wolf. So this guy walks out with a pet wolf chained, and is like wishing us a good season to save our asses from relegation. And the only thing in the back of my mind is, dude, if we go down to second division, this guy's gonna feed us to this wolf. And I'm thinking like, man, what am I like? I'm looking at Joe Corona, like looking at him, and like Edgar Castillo, just like, what decision did I just make? Like leaving Europe, dude, and coming here to a place to where like my head's gonna get cut off if I don't.
This sounds like a Disney villain or something with a wolf as a pet.
It's pretty crazy. This guy has the most exotic zoo you could ever imagine. Any animal you could ever imagine in the world, this guy owns, dude.
So he's Escobar.
I wouldn't say Escobar. I'm just saying someone that's had a great life. Dude.
Escobar had a bunch of he had like a zoo essentially.
Yeah. No, this guy has a private zoo.
If you've seen Narcos,
private zoo and everything. Yeah.
With Joe and Edgar just like, yeah, this is just a normal Tuesday. No, keep it moving.
Yeah. Normal. Exactly. Yeah. Next training, everybody's working their ass off. So I mean. We ended up saving ourselves, and the next season we became champion, man. So I guess it worked.
Yeah.
It did work.
That's awesome.
Greg, what was that story I remember you telling me where you guys used to get paid in like garbage bags full of cash?
No, that wasn't in Tijuana. That was another. You're gonna have to get Beasley on the show to see what he says about that one, dude.
That was at where? Puebla?
That was at Puebla, dude. Yeah. I mean, if you were getting paid in a small envelope, you know you weren't making jack. If you're walking out of the stadium with a trash bag, dude, because you had loads of cash. I mean, asking Beasley where this guy's hiding money and if it's in his, under his mattress, or if you're just taking that to the bank. And I mean, no telling who's watching you leave the stadium in a trash bag full of cash.
Oh my God, dude.
I mean, there's some crazy. Everybody has those crazy stories, man. Yeah. I mean, I'm for sure everyone that's played there has some pretty crazy. You can ask Jorge El Sueño, man, what happened to this guy exchanging money at one of the exchange houses that they have all over town on the border cities, man. I mean, everything you have to watch your back there. That's definitely some crazy stuff that happens there.
So the garbage bags were filled with pesos and not dollars. So you had to exchange them?
Who knows? Oh, for bees, I'm not sure. That guy. There's no telling what that guy was having in those trash bags, man. But he probably had loads of jewelry too, man. I know bees into jewelry.
He loved his watches back in the day. I remember that on the national team. He'd always have like the oh God, I can't remember what it was called. It was like, oh man, I can't remember, but it was just diamonds everywhere, like $50,000 watches.
Exactly.
What are you doing, dude? Yep. Hey, if you lose that watch, like that's someone's house.
It's an investment. It's an investment.
Oh man. All right. Well, crazy stories in Mexico. Love it. And then you made what year did you come to Atlanta? The year that they came into the league, right?
Yep. Expansion team. Yep.
Yeah. So I can relate to that a little bit. Sal, what year did you go to Atlanta?
2018.
Sorry, yeah, I was there in 2018, the year we won.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, don't forget that year I was on Sporting, we beat you guys, and you walked off the field so pissed because we were getting murdered the first 20 minutes until Brad decided to try to murder Kyrie's leg, and you walked over to me, you said, "Hey, you guys are so effing lucky, man." And I'm like,
I swear, I think the first 4 to 5 games I played with Atlanta, we were a man down. Like literally, like the first game I played Minnesota, we were a man down. Then against KC, we get a red card in the first 20. And then the game against Red Bulls, Greg got hurt, got a red card, so I came in. I literally felt like every game I played, we were a man down.
Wait, which is funny because normally you watch an Atlanta game and they always play against teams that get red cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were in Atlanta for 2 years, right?
2 years, yep.
And how was that experience?
Amazing, man. I think that group, some crazy stories in that group, but I think just it was, you knew from the very beginning, even in 2017, I'd probably say after the first few games of that season, was just that, look, if we could get some more depth within this team after that first season, that you knew from the second season that it needed to be a championship team. And I think that we were definitely able to do that. I thought for sure we were going to win Supporters Shield, and I thought maybe we would have not done so well in the playoffs. And I think probably losing Supporters Shield, and then getting our asses beat against Toronto that last game before the playoffs really helped us. I mean, go all the way, dude.
So let me ask you this. This is always something that I've kind of wondered. I know everybody said Tata is a great coach. And in the first year, I thought you guys played really, really well, right? I remember watching that very first game that you guys played against, wasn't it Red Bull?
Yeah.
Red Bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys crushed. It could have been like 4.
Yeah.
I think it only finished maybe 2, or I can't.
We lost 2-1.
You lost 2-1. That's right. You went up 1-0 on Yamil Saad, and then they got the goals. But you guys outplayed him, and I remember thinking this team's going to be good. And obviously, you guys played well throughout the regular season, and you went in the playoffs, and then you lost to Columbus.
Yep.
So anyway, so then the second season, you guys replicated and more what you guys did in the regular season. But from an outsider's perspective, it looked like your strategy and maybe it changed from game to game. I'm not saying that you guys went all out every game. There were games I remember you guys even played with 5 in the back sometimes and played a little bit, less risky and stuff. But in the playoffs, it looks like you kind of changed a little bit of what you guys what made you guys successful in the playoffs, which in turn I thought made you successful what made you successful in the regular season, and that change made you successful in the playoffs that year. Did you feel like there was something that Tata actually changed, or was it not exactly something that he said? How did you? I'm kind of wondering how it felt from the inside.
I'm gonna go with what I just said. I think losing the Supporters Shield to Red Bull, and then losing at Red Bull at the end of the season, and then we got our asses beat. I think was it 4-0,
right? 4-1 or 4-0.
The last game, that was something that I think was a real wake up call for all of us. And I mean, we probably think our poop didn't stink all the way up until then. So I mean, we probably thought we thought we had the Supporters Shield. It was a crazy season for both Atlanta and Red Bull to get that many points and be that close to each other the whole entire season. Then losing that, then getting our asses beat against New York, I think that was probably the turning point for all of us to really make that push towards playoffs. And then
so you think it was something like more mental than actual like tactical?
I think much more mental than tactical, because I think many people, a lot of people always ask me why is Tata the best coach I've ever had, and I honestly think he's a good coach, but he's not the best coach I've ever had. I think respectable wise, I think he is, because I think his name says it all. Tata in Spanish means grandpa. So I think the respect that all of us had towards him was that grandpa, that grandpa name, that how you look up to your grandpa, someone that has done a lot within their career, someone that does have a name to where you kind of looked up to them to be someone, with a lot of experience, very wise, something like that. But I think the talent within that team that we did have was just outrageous. We were able to depend on guys that, within seconds or within, milliseconds, they were able to change the game. And I put Miggy and Joseph on that pedestal because, we could have crap games and those two guys could just turn around and make something happen out of nothing.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely did special things.
Greg, that year I remember rehabbing with you, and you were out a long time, and I think that was your first game back, right?
My first game was that Toronto game. Yeah, Chris McCann got injured. He pulled his hamstring that game. I think maybe like that 10th minute, we were already losing like 2-0, went into the game, and then that was right before that playoff push, dude.
Yeah, I remember you had just started jogging like 2 weeks before that.
Yep.
Mike, you're gonna say something.
First off, Atlanta is a lot of things. Fan base, whatever, they stuff the ballot box, but the supporters there, all that kind of stuff, right? But I will say I love the mentality that Arthur Blank has instilled when he's like, I can have a whole team, all these transfer fees and salaries for the same price I'm paying, Julio Jones, one of my wide receivers. Screw it, let's go buy a championship in a way. You bought a great coach, you bought great players, so in that way, it's cool to see someone drive the league. But from your time there, did you feel appreciated or underappreciated or what? Because I know the trade, you didn't see it coming, right?
Man, it was one of those things to where, if I could go back in time and before, right after the championship game, it was literally days after that. Even before going into playoffs, I obviously knew there were interest in other teams, and it was just one of those things. Obviously, if I could have picked within that moment to stay there, I would have. But I think having interest from other teams, and at the end of the day, man, you know how this job goes. We ultimately have to do what's best for ourselves and what's best for the people that are important around us. So at the end of the day, you kind of have to follow that path. And I think for me, after that season it ended, had other options all around the league, and ended up making that decision. So it was.
So did they let you? Did they let you drive that? Did you have?
It was definitely mutual. Yeah, it wasn't something that took me by surprise. Okay. It was something that literally 2 days after we lifted that trophy, it was, hey, if you guys do this, I'll stay. If not, then hopefully we could work out something to where it'll be the best for all of us. So.
Look, I don't want to interrupt you, but I know it's like hard saying it about yourself, but it's very difficult for, I think, fans to understand that there's, and maybe I'm not giving them enough credit, right? Because I feel like fans a lot of times get upset if you leave your team after, you've won a championship and they've given you, that kind of platform, and then you decide to go to another team for money, right? But it's crazy for people not to realize that it's a very short career.
Big time.
At best, we have 15 years max to make as much money as we possibly can. And we'd love to win championships along the way. But as you said perfectly, you have responsibilities. You have a wife, you have kids, you have stuff that you have to do. And you only have a certain amount of time to make that money. So I completely understand what you're saying. And I know that feeling too, that kind of like semi-regret, because you love playing for that team and you love winning and competing. And so I completely understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
Hey, Greg, after being around you and obviously talking to you a lot and to the other players, you were definitely underpaid for what you brought to that team. And I'm sure after knowing you, you probably weren't asking them for any crazy amount, probably even less than what you were maybe deserved, but you were giving them a bit of a, hometown discount.
It was definitely that. It was definitely that. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, man, when you feel comfortable in a certain place and you feel that everyone is adapted to that place, it's sometimes you're able to take less or do something for less. But I think within that moment, it was something that, I needed to just get my head away from that and just move on. And I mean, even though it was such a short, it was within a short span of time, I mean, literally 2 or 3 days after we had won everything, I had already known that, there was going to be a new place and a new home. But, at the end of the day, man, I always tell people, man, we're gypsies, man. There's no home sweet home. You kind of have to, you have to make a home wherever you go. And the people that follow you and the people that are important in your life, follow you around to follow your dream. And at the end of the day, you have to do everything you can to take care of them and do everything for them. So that's our biggest responsibility in life. And I think, for me, every place I've played with the same exact amount of passion that I would play anywhere in this world. And I mean, just because I won a trophy in one place doesn't mean I'm going to try less in another, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all huge competitors. We all want to win. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be at places that has more of that opportunity than others.
Yeah. I mean, I was in your same situation, so I know how you feel exactly. And on top of that, allegedly, I'm going to use the air quotes, allegedly could have been your teammate at Cincinnati.
I know that. I know that.
We won't get into those details. Not that was.
Yeah, I've heard Cincinnati's been after a few different center backs.
I don't know. I won't get into that, but
you're not on your own hot seat. One day you will be.
One day I'll probably tell you the whole breakdown of how the SKC exit and all that happened, because it's kind of.
Oh yeah, it'll be on the podcast.
It's fascinating actually when I look back at it, but that's for another day. This is Greg's time.
Hey Sal, are you guys driving to Seattle? What's going on over there?
No, the game's in Tacoma, so it's actually like a 45 to an hour drive, I think.
All right, cool, man. Good stuff. Ike, what else you got? You got some questions for Greg from Cincinnati, because I know there's been some talking points there recently.
Yeah, Greg.
Are you gonna hold that for the
just in general? I'm not trying to walk this man off the plank, because I've heard some of these stories. I know some of these stories. I don't really want to discuss some of these stories with Greg. Greg needs to have a job at the end of the week. He's got another kid who's coming who needs to support. But I'll we'll touch on it a couple times during my interrogation though.
Okay, we'll leave it for the interrogation then.
I got one more thing.
What's up, bud?
Can you talk a little bit about Traffic, that agency that you were with when you were young? Like, how did it work?
Traffic is a Brazilian company, or no?
They're Brazilian. They own
players.
Yeah, they were an advertising
passes.
They started off as an advertising company that started with buses. Putting things around stadiums. I mean, you could see like they were an advertising company, and they started to buy rights of players. I mean, I think they were like Ronaldinho. They started to buy percentages of players, and wherever these people were sold, at the end of the day, they would get a percentage of that sell. And then they started to buy teams. They started to buy percentages in teams. I think they bought like a percentage of Palmeiras in Brazil. They bought a team in Portugal with where I played in the second division, Estoril. So yeah, they started hauling the money all over the place, and they were the ones that actually gave me the opportunity to go to Brazil at Sporting Lisbon. But after everything didn't work out there, I ended up going to Estoril, a team that they owned. Things didn't go as planned there. I mean, I wasn't getting that much playing time. I wanted something new with my career, and that's actually what made me go on trial every single place in the world, and wasn't able to get a job because of traffic. They would always try and tell these other teams everywhere I was going in the world that they wanted some sort of percentage on me. Then they would ask for training compensation because I had played with a team that they owned. So it was just, I mean, I was just a young kid trying to still pursue my professional career, and they had somewhat treated it as if it was like I was a more of a big time player and wanting to get all these percentages and training compensation for a kid that was still trying to, I was still at the beginning and trying to pursue my career still. So I don't think I was at that platform that they may have thought I was yet. And I wasn't the only one. There were other guys that were involved in things like that, and really good friends of mine that ended up not making it and don't play anymore today. So it's sad to see that, at the end of the day, it can be a business, and within that time of not finding a club and going on trial all these different places I was thrown into that business side of it. And that's what made me at such that young age. I was already married. And I think for me, I had taken on such a huge responsibility of getting married so young, and then already going through the business side of what professional soccer can be. And I was just like, you know what, screw this. Like, this is, there was a moment in my life that if I probably wouldn't have made it in Tijuana, I was like, I'm already doing college online. I can finish in a couple of years. I'd done that after graduating residency and signing my first pro contract in Portugal. But, it was, for me, it was like, if this isn't working, if I'm going to be caught in this business side of things, then I mean, maybe God has something else planned for me. So that was my story with Traffic. It was great because they were the ones that gave me the opportunity to go play in Europe and pursue that dream and become a much better player in playing there and finishing my youth within Sporting Lisbon and going different places from there. But, then getting caught in the business side of it was something that, I mean, has taught me a lot about everything. I went to school. I did school to become an agent, sports management and international business. And then I think of just being involved in so many things like that at such a young age. It really made me want to invest in other things within my career, of having other plan Bs, and maybe being an agent as not necessarily a hobby, but just as a side gig of helping kids follow their dreams, or helping kids not go through necessarily the things that I went through at that age, and what other guys or other good friends that have gone through and ultimately ended their careers.
Yeah, I've heard Traffic is kind of a nightmare on a lot of aspects, but good for you for being able to break free of the stranglehold that Traffic has. Seriously.
Yeah. It's just all these big time investors, and they also got in big trouble with all the FIFA stuff, and I don't think they exist anymore.
Yeah.
After that came out of laundering money and all that kind of stuff that they were involved with, that I think they demolished as a company.
Right. So yeah. I don't know if our listeners know this, but relative to position, Greg might have the cleanest feet in the league, in my opinion.
Oh, thanks, man. That's a big.
Sal, do you?
I will say, yeah, Greg has got some nice feet, and
clean.
Before going to Atlanta, I didn't necessarily appreciate, how technically gifted he really was on the ball, man. And obviously that's why Tata liked you so much.
I saw Greg at a national team camp, and I was like, this guy would punt the ball like Axel, super high into the air. But he would like Cruyff it on the I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
I think I still do that, like in pregame warm-ups, dude, to be honest.
Okay, maybe. I'm like,
it's like his weird like Maradona thing, you know, like the Maradona juggling
and
thing.
I'm like, what? Yo, is he a 10? What's going on? And he's like trotting back there to left back.
That's because in those days, like I was probably still a 10 and still a winger, man, until the first day I got to Portugal. It was like, look, we have too many of those, and you're probably not going to make it in that position. So let's at least lower your value.
So I didn't know you were ever an attacker. I've only seen you as an outside back. So
no, all youth. All youth camps, dude. I was always a number 10 or always a winger. I mean, even in the U17 World Cup for under 20s, I played the 10. And then literally when I got to Portugal, it was they changed everything. So. I mean, it worked out.
And you've always got your oldest son who can play the 10 for you.
Yeah, exactly.
How old are your kids, Greg?
My early retirement plan. 6, 2, and then 1 in 7 days, man. So
1 in 7 days.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
What day was he born?
No, we'll have the next one in 7 days.
Oh, yeah. Got it. One in 7 days. Because I have 3 as well, and one just turned 1, so I thought maybe we had the same birthday.
No.
Another boy, Greg?
Another boy, man. Another boy.
3 boys?
Yep. I'm not like you, Sal. I can't be like you, man.
No, you're the complete opposite.
I tried.
All right, I got one more question for you, and it kind of came from what Ike said. Do you still aspire to get back on the national team?
I think of course that's always in the back of your mind, but I think you might be able to relate to this. I think after you have kids, man, obviously those dreams are always there, and you do have those aspirations, but I think after you have kids, that responsibility of just wanting to provide for them more than absolutely anything is something that I can answer to, that when I was 22, 23, that to where, I had my first kid at 22, but I was probably at the prime of my career and just like, okay, this is where I want to be right now. This is what I want to do with my career. This is when I want to, continue to build on those kind of things. And now it's to where, I have all these kids, and it's just like the most important thing is just providing for them. And whatever comes next is whatever is going to come next. But at the end of the day, as long as I can put food on the table for these kids and give them an amazing life, then nothing's more important than that, man.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's all I got. Ike, Sal, are we ready to move on, or are we? Do we have any easy questions left?
No. Well, we've got a lot of Cincinnati ones, but I'll just wait till the interrogation, because obviously you're coming from you repping the Cincinnati, great support and fan base up there. I'm actually excited to be able to go up there this year and see what that's all about. The Bailey, is it the Bailey?
Yep.
Bailey? Yep. So it'll be cool to experience. But I wanted to keep the torture into this section. So now you're on the hot seat. You're in Ike's interrogation.
No. You're not on the hot seat yet. I have to introduce him, bro.
Oh my gosh.
That's my thing.
That's your thing.
First, I was going to say, you reminded me that Greg literally only plays on turf fields. I don't think he's ever played on a damn grass field.
Why do you think my hips are as bad as they are, man?
Greg,
this guy only goes from turf to turf. So, anyway,
Greg,
he played Tijuana, Atlanta.
Turf doesn't lie.
Yeah.
It must have been weird playing at Atlas then. But, all right, what I will say is it is time for Ike's interrogation. Right. Your seat will immediately get hot when you sit down. Right. And keep in mind that as I am retired now, we don't want you to be forced into early retirement, so you are allowed to plead the fifth once.
All right.
If you don't plead the fifth in any of the questions, you can then ask us any question you like.
Okay.
So those are the rules.
And then we must
answer.
Now
you're on the hot seat.
Wait, real quick before you guys get started. I got to go. Greg, nice talking to you, buddy. Good luck.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's good talking to you, bud.
All right. Here we go, Greg. I feel bad for you. I do.
It's fine, man. No worries, man.
All right. True or false? FC Cincinnati is more successful in the tabloids than on the field.
Right now, that's got to be true. Every 2 months, there's something that happens in the news, man. Unfortunately. So we just had the recent one happen. What was that? 3 weeks ago? 1 week before the season.
You guys have had like 6 coaches in 6 months. So
you can give it 2 months, and I'm sure there'll be something else on the news, man. So.
So as we're leading now into the second question, we won't get into the exact details of that situation, but of your former head coach, what song was allegedly playing when Ron's decided to become Tupac Shakur and start rapping? Again, who knows if there was music? Who knows if there wasn't? I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, there was music. I don't know if you guys would be able to post this just because of the confidentiality stuff. But,
so we can't.
You signed a non-disclosure agreement or what?
Yeah. So that's a plead the fifth right off the bat.
We had an ongoing investigation for about a week. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was heavy. I mean, imagine doing this within preseason. It's just like after this happens, you want to go home. It's just like why train anymore?
Right.
No, we don't want to Sebastian Lletget you. So
yeah.
Okay. So that was question number 2. So that was a plead the fifth.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, plead the fifth on that one for sure, man.
All right. Question number 3, a fan question. This one's gonna be tough in a weird way, because they're both great players. Who would you start a franchise with, Joseph Martinez or Miguel Almirón?
Who would I start a franchise with to have as my first young DP, as they were both young DPs when we were.
Yeah, I guess if you could only have one, who are you starting?
I'm going Joseph.
And why? I mean, in my opinion, there's no wrong answer. Like,
I think Miguel is an amazing player. I mean, obviously he's starting to crack out of his shell in England now, which is great. I'm super happy for him, but I don't think there is someone as lethal as I have seen as Joseph. And obviously, I think that was the huge question after Miguel left, if someone couldn't get him as good of service or, good balls as Miguel did. And well, now it could have been the next big test after getting rid of Julian Gressel, because he just took Miguel's place right after that. But I mean, obviously now Joseph won't have that luxury of having that good of service, and now, I mean, obviously he's out for the rest of the season. But yeah, I'm gonna go Joseph on that one, dude, just because he's a killer shark. This guy is as lethal as they come.
Yeah, it's
agreed.
Yeah, I mean, he gets in the 18. If he gets a shot off, you just know it's going in.
Even his shot is so powerful. I mean, there's some goals that you can see is he has absolutely no angle, and he's on his left foot and he just bombs it. It hits the top of the net. It's just like what. Even with that, I mean, any other player would hit it. It'd probably hit side netting, and this guy still is able to put it top of the net.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully he recovers from an injury. I love playing against him. He just brought the best out of me. It was like that. Yeah. I was in the mode when we played him. I'm like locked in day before. I'm making sure.
Yeah. I mean, even when I didn't play the Atlanta game last year against Cincinnati, but even here at home, I could have sworn he probably. I mean, if they wore GPS that game, I think he probably would have not hit 1,000 meters, dude, 1 kilometer at all. But this guy scored it was the best goal of the season. Like,
if it was
the one in Cincinnati.
One in Cincinnati where he
cut the guy, then juked the guy, then curled it.
Yeah,
a good goal, but let's be fair. Atlanta was voting, so they were always going to win that. Like,
very true.
I mean, it's just not even fair.
I won goal of the week 2 times in a row, and they were both tap-ins. So.
It's great to have that support, let me tell you. All right, question number 4. Rank these FC Cincinnati coaches from first
from worst to worst.
But this is going to go actually a different direction.
Gosh.
You have to rank the next coach you guys hire, interim opportunity when you fire the next coach after 3 months, or the coach that you guys will inevitably have to hire again in the offseason this year.
That was a fan question.
that was a lot.
That's just your question.
It was a combination of both. I mean, we could go with Alan Koch, Ron Jans, and Johan Dame if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Johan is like he's has like a lifetime contract with Cincinnati, so he's in their plans for quite a long time. He never played soccer in his life, but he's like soccer genius. IQ of like, this guy sees everything, and he's my age, so it's just
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy for someone to I mean, who's never kicked the ball. He's like the French Mourinho of, you know, I mean, you can just obviously see this guy eats, sleeps, drinks soccer. Is probably more than anyone I've ever seen. I mean, we've been having more meetings than an NFL team this season. So,
so he's first, and so you've got 2 left. Good luck
with those last 2. I mean, it was, you know what? I think even between all of those, I still think I'm gonna say the other 2 were really great people, but the brains behind everything is always Johan. He is the one that creates. He is the one that designs. He is the one that's just tactically gifted in that area. And the others, I think, more on a morale standard, we're supposed to play that role more than actual tactic coach.
So
I'm gonna protect myself with that. I'm not throwing those 2 under the bus. I'm gonna say that they were 2 really great people, good-hearted people.
So you
not the best coaches I've ever had. I'm gonna say best coach I've ever had, and someone that I didn't play much with was when Benny went to Mexico with me was Turco, bro, Mohammed. Yeah, and I played very little with him. I didn't play much, but we had an ass team in Tijuana the year we won it, and we still won it. I mean, that just tells you all. You know, right. He was a coach that had no philosophy, had no, you know, like we didn't have to play a certain way. It was more so I'm going to get the best out of every single one of these guys to make sure.
Bro, he should have signed me when I came to train with you guys, even though I wasn't on trial.
Yeah.
I remember thinking. Hey, I
bought 2 houses after that championship, dude. So,
I remember thinking when I was training there that year, I was like, maybe these guys should sign me, dude. They don't really have many good midfielders.
Oh God. Well, that was a 1.5 plead. I respect your decision now. I've gone soft after last week's debacle.
After everybody got mad at Sebastian for
all the things that we were just being entertaining, fun. Anyways,
can I just say something real quick? There's a difference for fans out there, because the beauty about the podcast is that you'll bring out people that think one way and people that think the other, and you're never going to change what they think. But I'll throw my 2 cents on, even though it's not that time, but there's a difference between being a world-class talent, which Zlatan is, in my opinion, one of the best players in our time, and being a good teammate. And by that, I mean making the other people around you better, or at least as good as they are when you're not around. And fair enough, like everybody can say the Galaxy aren't playing well so far. There's only been 2 games, but come on. Ibra didn't make the people around him better. He was the star, and he did unbelievable things, but if he had made other people around him better, they could have been a really good team. That's all I'll say. All right, I'm done with that.
Completely agree.
Yeah. And Sebastian will get in trouble for that. So anyways.
Poor guy. That is the nicest guy I ever met.
I know. It's crazy. Question number 5.
It's all right. He's going to propose. What was it, this week or?
Wait, what are we talking about right now?
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. But he's with Becky G. Becky G, that's her stage name. So
get out of here, bro. We got Greg to finish off with. All right. Give me your hardest attacker to defend or your biggest kryptonite in MLS.
Hardest attacker to defend.
And even like maybe like someone who's like, you know, doesn't get enough credit. Like for me, I was on the Manotas train before he blew up, you know, a couple guys like that.
Yeah. Goodness, last year, since I was injured most of the year, I'm going to have to say one of the first games I think I came back was against Montreal, and it was against Akinwoko.
Oh, Okonkwo?
Yeah, Okonkwo, yeah. This guy's blazing fast. Let's see, another player. I mean, that was one that I remembered from last year. That I mean, he had a field day with me down the line. Let's see, someone else that I don't think gets enough credit. I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna go Ethan Finley when he played in Columbus.
Ooh, not anymore in Minnesota. He sucks now. Is that what you're saying, Ike?
I'm saying that Greg Berhalter had him make a run, a curling run between myself and the center back. And I remember this from preseason in 2017, that Columbus pooped on us in preseason.
Yeah, no. So
I remember him making this run every single time Awful would get the ball, Harrison would get the ball, and this guy would make this curling inside run to where, like, I'd never seen anyone do that before. I mean, everybody's making a run more so like from the outside. And this guy's like making a curling run between myself and the center back and then ending up on the outside of the field. And he did that against us at home too, and in Columbus. And that was difficult. That's someone that I would say, like, when they had that system in Columbus was something for me that I definitely remember having to deal with in there.
Yeah, love the loon shout. Love it. As you were saying his name, you froze, so I didn't know what you said on my. But yeah,
that's why I didn't have a freeze with me. But anyways, what I was gonna say, Ike, he put a little dime on Amaria's head against Portland.
Yeah, Ethan's balling right now.
That was a ball.
He's been working, and the connection that those two have has been cool to see. They even did it in training today.
I think it was Mabiala though. Mabiala was just stood by himself on the 6 for some reason.
Listen,
marking nothing.
I've been a center back, and when a forward peels off your shoulder, sometimes it's the most helpless feeling in the world, because and there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do. Joseph's one of those guys that just
but he's one of the few guys that, like, I just don't want to let him score, so I'll just, like, run with them. I'll leave the whole goal middle of the goal open. I'm like, someone. But no.
All right, what do you got? One more?
No, you're off the hot seat, Greg.
Oh wow!
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, you got it lukewarm after what Sebastian had to go through, so you should be thanking him.
All right, thanks, Sebastian. I appreciate it, man.
All right, Greg. I think that's all we got for you, dude. I appreciate you coming on the show, dude.
Oh no, thank you guys, man.
Let me know when it's too much for you. I'll give you some insight into retirement.
All right, sounds good, man. Sounds good.
All right, dude. Good luck the rest of the season.
I'm going to give you a shout out, man. I think there's one play that every single, I mean, at least from my generation, I mean, you could ask now we're dealing with like the 2000s and the 99s, and you can ask them if they've ever seen Step Brothers, and they don't even know what the hell it is. But I'm going to say there's one play of yours that everyone can remember, at least of our generation, and it's definitely the volley in Gold Cup, dude. I think that's probably something that
the one he closed his eyes. Come on, man.
And he even says it, and it's the one that made his career. That's what he says.
I can tell you honestly that I don't know if I close my eyes, because legitimately, I cannot remember from the time that, like, I remember the ball coming down, but I can't remember the actual strike. And I know for a fact that I ran away from the bench first.
Yes.
And then turned around and ran towards the bench, and I can't remember it actually happening. I just know that I ended up by the bench, like, celebrating. But
and then after that,
I literally blacked out for about 7 seconds.
Right after that, did you go to Derby?
Yeah.
I
was in Hamburg at the time and trying to get a move, and I think that helped big time.
I think it did too, man.
And like I said, I went to Derby to create history.
There you go.
All right, dude. Thanks for the shout out,
and
we really appreciate you coming on the show. Good luck. Stay healthy. Congrats on the baby boy coming up soon.
Thanks, man.
And
appreciate it.
And a lot of love to your family.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All to you guys as well.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
All right.
Love
see
it.
you later, man.
Well, thanks so much, Greg Garza, for coming on the show. I thought there were some really interesting things that he said. Dude, his time in Mexico and traffic and all that stuff, and like he was ready to retire. I mean, that seems like it goes around with everybody.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
For one way or another. I will say, not from necessarily Greg's interview, the only thing that I'm upset about during your retirement speech is that you didn't give one final jab to RSL on your way out.
I said for all the people that hated me as well. Dude,
you should. I'm literally surprised you didn't say P.S. F RSL. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'll say this. First, I did say to all those that hated me, and honestly, I thank them for hating me, because it is what makes you... I think if you go through some of the games that I've played against Salt Lake, I think I've had a pretty good time there. And the other thing I'll say about Salt Lake is that I think they've gotten the best of me one time only in important games. And by that, I mean like playoffs,
That's
championship
LAFC,
games,
right?
Open Cup. LAFC, they beat us 3-2. It was terrible. I felt terrible. So all the Salt Lake fans can be happy to know that I felt fucking terrible that day. They took 2 shots and scored 3 goals and beat us 3-2. But fair enough, they beat us. And but what I'll say is today, as much as I'm retiring, they lost a villain. And they're going to be so disappointed. They got to go find a new one. Like, they're so sad, dude.
If we can get you trending in Salt Lake, then I think we've really done it for you. So, we'll see.
But yeah. No, honestly, you know how fans are, dude. I appreciate, I legitimately do appreciate all the love and hate that I've gotten because it drives you, it fuels you, and it's part of the game. I think, fans that don't like you should try and show that they don't like you, and I'm all good with that.
To an acceptable level. There's some that like,
yes, of course. Yes, of course.
And
but Salt Lake fans have never done anything unacceptable to me. Like, they booed me when I was there, and that's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, you guys lost a villain. You're lost today, Salt Lake. But yeah, it's been a great ride. And now I'm just going to be a full-time podcaster, and maybe somebody hires me here along the road because I need to feed my kids, as Greg Garza eloquently put.
Yes.
But yeah, great podcast. Thanks for listening out there, guys. Thank you, Greg, again. And thanks, Sal, for showing up for 3 minutes.
We love you guys. And, after hopefully Greg doesn't lose his job this week, we'll really get after the next guest again.
Maybe we'll try and get Darlington on here. I think he could be good. Or Heath Pierce.
Yeah, we've got a lot of options.
We got some on the horizon here. As always, you guys know you can find us on streaming platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Overcast. Or emails bennysalthepodcast@gmail.com. Social platforms: Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are at BSI the podcast and hashtag BSI the podcast and hashtag Ike's interrogation. And lastly, we will be having some new season 2 with the new BSI t-shirts, and Nino's got some winners. My favorite is the Got Soup one.
It's got to be everybody's winners. I've already ordered one. I gotta get it. I gotta. It's a must.
So go out there and check it out. Nino will put that out for us very shortly if he hasn't already, and go get yourself a BSI the podcast shirt or sweatshirt or whatever. All right. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for showing up, and we will see you guys next time.